The largest long COVID study of its kind just dropped from Harvard, and it's going to fundamentally change how doctors understand and treat this condition. Here's everything you need to know so you can finally make sense of your own symptoms and advocate for real care. When people say long COVID, it sounds like one thing, but this massive new study just found 8 completely different versions of it. 8 paths, 8 lived realities, and most of them don't have the neat recovery arc like doctors assume. The study came from a team of researchers across Mass General Brigham, Harvard Medical School, and the Recovery Initiative. And if you're not familiar, the Recovery Initiative is a multi-billion-dollar national research program created to figure out what long COVID actually is, how to treat it, and it's the largest long COVID project in the country, collecting data from tens of thousands of patients and funding major studies at top hospitals. In fact, I'm in 2 recovery studies now, and if you're interested to learn more about that, let me know in the comments. For this paper, researchers followed almost 3,700 adults who got COVID and stayed sick for months. They tracked symptoms, clusters, and patterns over a full year using statistical modeling to see whether long COVID was actually one condition or multiple. The results weren't random. It's sorted into 8 distinct recovery paths. Here's the simplest way to understand them. In our first group, we have rapid recovery, where symptoms hit, lingered a bit, and mostly resolved by a month or 2. But this is just a minority of cases that fall under this umbrella. In the next, we have slow and steady recovery, where people gradually improve, but it's painfully gradual. By month 12, they're functioning again, but it's far from linear, meaning they had setbacks along the way. The third is persistent mild symptoms. They were never fully knocked down, but after the 12 months, they were never fully back to normal. They still sustained a chronic low-grade burden. In our fourth, we have persistent moderate symptoms, where symptoms were more moderate, such as fatigue, headaches, exercise intolerance, gut issues, and dizziness. They were able to stabilize, but still continue to face these. In 5, we have persistent severe symptoms, and these folks never quite got their lives back. They sustained high symptom burden all year, and including the year after. In the 6th, we have worsening over time. This is thought to be the worst, which is where people start mild or moderate, then decline as the months go on. Worsening is its own trajectory. Then we have waxing and waning, where some might have good weeks and then awful weeks. Sometimes this is reported in classic dysautonomia unpredictability. In 8, we have relapse after early recovery. They feel better for the first few months and then suddenly symptoms return. This study gives us something we haven't had before, which is undeniable proof that long COVID isn't one illness. There isn't one pattern, one cause, or one recovery path. The data shows that different biology is driving different experiences, and that finally explains why one person might improve with physical therapy, another needs medical intervention, and someone doesn't respond to any treatment at all. They're not on the same path to begin with. And it's really important that you hear this next part. Your trajectory is not personal failure. People in every single category tried every strategy they could. Rest, pacing, rehab, supplements, medication, but at the end of the day, biology determined their path, not willpower. The study also confirmed something patients have been saying since 2020, that reinfection changed outcomes. A second infection often pushed people into a worse trajectory, not because they did anything wrong, but because their systems were already vulnerable. Another key finding was that symptoms were not random either. Fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, sleep issues, and post-exertional crashes showed up together across almost every trajectory. These aren't scattered complaints. They're stable clusters that data consistently reproduced. It validated the lived experience of millions of people who've been told their symptoms don't make sense. And the last point is hard but necessary. Many people did not recover at 1 year. Even in the so-called mild or moderate groups, symptoms persisted, and long COVID is not a few weeks for a large portion of patients. It's a sustained neurological and physiological condition, not just a temporary inconvenience. If you're living with long COVID, you're not supposed to fit into one clean box. Your healing might be slow, non-linear, up and down, or feel like it's going backwards. This study shows that that's normal, and it gives researchers a roadmap for treatments and the ability for us to ask bigger questions like, why does inflammation resolve in people but not others? What flips a recovery trajectory into relapse? What protects the people who bounce back quickly? These 8 paths are not just categories, they're clues. So the next time you're questioned by a doctor when you advocate for yourself, just remember, this paper proves there isn't one long COVID story. There are 8, and your path is one of them. If you want to stay up to date on what the science is actually saying about long COVID, follow here. I break down the newest research every week in a way real patients can actually use.